Right, morning everybody. So I'm just trying to work out the orientation of all these whole bits again. Because we got a bit of new stuff made. Now these side pieces here haven't been made, and these here haven't been made, but they're a bit of a hit and miss thing. They're pretty destroyed though, so it's probably something once we sort of get the heart back together, we might be able to measure them up. But the shelves for in behind, I guess you'd call them shelves, they're not really shelves because you can't use them for anything, but the dividers that are in that, and behind those pieces that are on the sides of the tab area, I guess you'd call it, they've been made, and the two toe board pieces, I guess you'd call, have been made. So I'm just trying to remember how this sort of went together and trying to work out what was what for where. So I think this is where the floor goes back in where it would be, where your feet would sit normally. So obviously your steering column come through here. That was, I think, maybe starter pedal, I think. Not 100% sure on that. I think they were one of those old school ones where you push the thing down on the starter, like a starter pedal. So that's this. So I'm just trying to work out all these new pieces. So I'll have to swap some of these bits over. I kind of want to put it back together, but only sort of temporarily, if you know what I mean, until obviously we get everything sorted in there. So I'm halfway contemplating. I haven't been up here this morning because I'm still fighting this freaking weather. It pissed down overnight. Well, this morning anyway. So again, it's actually not too bad down there. I haven't had a decent look down that side yet. I've never been up in here. So I'm contemplating having a clean up in here. And I might empty that vacuum out, and which I might just half empty. Yeah, I want actually a full clean out in here, and to have a good vacuum, get all the tools, pick all the tools up, maybe have a sort out so I can maybe sit some stuff up there, get everything out of the road. Because I'm kind of finished welding in here, per se, not really, but kind of. The major stuff that has started is done. We've obviously got to still go back down in there. But what I would like to do is piece some of those bits back together, work out what bits I've got to still finish. I know there's like some of those little bits and pieces. I'm just trying to work out whether I just weld some nuts on the backs or some of those things where they're got those little things. He's not too worried about it, so that kind of saved me a bit of a pain making all those little holders. What I can use is I made some of them up, whatever I did with them. I think I brought them back down here in a jar. I can't remember. I know I bought some stuff, but they might be stored out the other workshop. I can't remember. I haven't been down there for weeks. But yeah, I'd like to, since we're kind of still fighting the weather, to get underneath to do the finish welding and put the ribs back underneath that piece. I'd like to mock all that front piece up and work out what I need to do to make the new pieces for here and do the finish repairs for that stuff. And also we've got to weld that other piece that comes down on the angle there back in, and then we've got to put some of the other bits of tinder back in, some of the pieces that held those shelvy pieces in. Well, there's one of the bits off the vent off the old one, so he's taking that out, so that's got to go back in. There's bits and pieces still got to be done there. So yeah, sort of halfway contemplating mocking some of that up just because of the weather today, but I think I really need to get in there and have a really good bloody clean up again. So we can get rid of some of the dirt and shit and crap and junk out of there and go from there, I think. Right, so I think I picked up the worst of the crap off the floor, like the broken or worn out discs and bits of metal and whatever. Got a couple of bits and pieces down there to pick up, but what I want to do now is go through and I'll vacuum. Probably what I'll probably do is go through and empty that out. I'm just going to blow the filter off a little bit. That probably not make much difference, but I'll just give it a blow out. A couple of pieces there to pick up. I've put a lot of the tools and bits and pieces for it and cutting discs and just shit up there out of the road. So I think, yeah, what I'll do is I'll go through it and try and vacuum everything up, and then I think I'll get the ear line and we'll go through and give it a good dust out, and then let it settle and we'll go through and vacuum it out again. And then just trying to wonder whether I should go through and, I won't go through and finish wire wheel it yet because I haven't done some of this back stuff, but and then we might start test fitting and working out just what we're doing with obviously the new floorboards and just make sure everything's right. Oh, sorry, beating the phone up there. And go from there, I think. Well, we're getting there. Worst thing is I'll have to keep stopping for that vacuum cleaner because the dust is so fine now that we've got rid of most of the big stuff. I've still got a bit of vacuuming to do down and around here, obviously. I just want to try and get it. We're not trying to get it clean yet for painting, but I just want to get rid of the worst of the thick shit out of here. But yeah, we'll get that pretty clean. I've blown it from the front to the back, everything back this way. I don't know, probably 3 or 4 times. But yeah, just every now and again I've just got to stop because the vacuum just stops vacuuming. Unfortunately, it's got a sock filter on it. It's a shame it doesn't have a bag of some description, like a paper, or maybe there's like the paper bag, which would collect the dirt and the shit, but they still breathe through that, and then that would obviously have that for any like bigger stuff going into the vacuum because it just stops sucking. Because the dust is so fine and it just blocks that sock up. It's alright, just for sucking up big stuff, once I actually cleaned out, it frickin' like it, when I gave it a real good clean out there before I actually took all the sock and everything off and gave it a really good blow out. When I turned it back on, Christ, it would just suck everything off the floor. I didn't even have to get close, it would just, it would go on, but yeah, and it's got to the point now where I'm just, it basically won't pick up the dust. So yeah, I've had to just clean that again, so we'll go empty that out again, and then we'll start again with basically a dust-free pot, and we'll suck up the last of it, and then we'll give it another good blow down, hopefully, and then we'll let it settle again after lunch, and we'll just have a look and just maybe go with the odd bad spot, but then we can have a bit more of an assessment on some of this other stuff, because I'm just looking down here. Yeah, I'm just looking down here. Let's change it so it's. You can see down here it doesn't look very good. I don't know whether that's right through or what. We'll have to climb up in that tube, and it's unfortunately right where the frickin' rear diff is. I think. I'm guessing it's pretty much in line where the back wheels and the rear diff is. So that's going to be a bitch to get at. We'll have to suss out whether that's right through or not, and just have a bit of a look in around that area, make an assessment, see what that is, because it almost looks like I don't know, like around here it's had some big thick sealant or something of some description being poured down there. I thought it was concrete for a start off, but now I've actually given everything a bit of a blowout and a clean up and whatever, and also we're going to get in there and have a bit more of a suck up and then a bit more of a blowout with the ear line. I'm just using a combination of the two to try and get rid of everything. out of all the nooks and crannies so I can have a decent bloody look. Get all that fine shit out of the corners and shit as well, the best we can. But yeah, I'm just a bit dubious of that down there. It looks a bit ugly. Everything else looks to be okay, without digging too hard yet. It'd be bloody nice to actually have this up on something a bit higher, a couple of 3 feet in the air from the bottom, without the undercarriage in it as well. So we'd have a good look around, and then obviously finish some of these other repairs and just make sure there's no light shining through anywhere, or there's no scabby rust. But I don't know, we'll cross that bridge later, see what he wants to do. But yeah, but I'm thinking probably apart from that, we'll do something with that later on. But yeah, I'd like to, like I said earlier on, start test fitting some of the stuff back in the front just to see where we're at. Right, so that drain thing that's in the corner here, in this back corner, and there's another one there, and then is there another one? Oh, there's another one right up the front. They are drains, but they're more access to like oil and bits and pieces and gearboxes and shit. Like obviously they could be whipped out to help drain water out, but for a quick access for getting rid of water in the old girl, if once she gets on land, it's got those. Now I'm not quite sure what's going on here, and I'm probably going to replace, actually zoom out for that. While I was down in here just having a look, I noticed that net's not actually held on very well. It's only just tacked on at the end. It's not actually attached to the panel it's sitting out. I cut, when I put mine in, I cut the edges back at the ends so the piece could sit back against the wall. So I've got plenty, I think I've got plenty of that left, so I might get rid of that. But I think this here's obviously got to go on. I'm assuming it's meant to be in that corner like that. So that plate here, I'll move this board back here in a minute. This plate here screws in from underneath, and it's obviously got a series of bolts hold it up in, and then obviously depending on the orientation of this, which I'm assuming this here must be the closest point to the wall. I'll do some measurements here. We'll just get a rough measurement of where it's meant to be. We've got a template there. I might mark that out, or have a bloody good clean up down there and then mark it out. Might even spray some of that. Once we had a clean up, I might spray some of that weld through on there and then mark it out, because it'll be easy to see. And get that sorted while we're having a wee play down in here. I am going to do that other stuff, but I was just looking at when I was having the vacuum out down in here properly, just after lunch. So just after a little bit of dust and dirt settle, and we blew some shit this way just before lunch. So I just got back down these back corners and had another vacuum out. Once I clean up that vacuum cleaner so it would actually suck properly again for 5 minutes. So yeah, I think it needs to sit down in there like that from underneath, bolts in from underneath, and then that piece sits on top and bolts down on top of those things, and then it operates that piece that, so it sits around there like that. And as you turn that piece, it pulls that around and it comes off. Well, you might be, yeah, anyway, you know what I mean. As you turn that, it comes around and lets the water drain out through that hole. So yeah, that needs to go on too. So I'm just having a wee sit that up there so it doesn't get broken. Just having a wee nose at this one down here. So it's definitely got a good sized hole in there. If you can see that. So yeah, I've got to figure out what the hole size that diameter is, and then we can drill that, and then we can mark that out to be put in there. So I've got that template. I might go see if we got some drills in here, and we'll have a wee clean up. And we might mark that out and maybe put that in as well while we're in between mucking around doing this stuff. I was just thinking about it. Alrighty, I'm just trying to decide what I'm going to do with this piece here. So it stops here. It's a bit like that other piece, but it's full radius basically. On the way back to here somewhere. Kind of stops here and sort of flat for a bit-ish. Probably not really flat, but flat-ish through here. There's a piece here, I'm not really sure what it was made for. It's not one of the pieces I had made. It's close to the right dimensions. I just wonder, because it's had all these patches in, there's obviously still a hole in the floor here. It's a piece you can see from the top. That's roughly where that drain thing's going to go in, which is, I'm fucking sure. Where is that bit? Yeah, there I think it is. Kind of see it there, above that pallet piece. That's it there. So it's in this territory. Back, people back. So it's in here. So this has been, had a section put in it years ago. So yeah, I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to do here, whether I cut this whole piece out and then try and pie slice this and just pull it around here and kind of, I don't know whether just tack it or something like that and just pull it around and then tack on my pie slices and just break the tacks, if you know what I mean, and then pull it off and weld it up and then put it on. Or whether I just put a frickin' saw piece in here. It's just getting a bit ugly. Well, here, you know, it's been patched and joined, and I see these ones here. I just screwed a frickin' other piece over top, which is pretty shit, but it is what it is. You know, if I pull that off and start fixing it, oh fuck, what else do you find? But need to fix it. Need to fix this. So I'm just trying to decide what do I do here. And hopefully I don't have to cut a section this way, but hopefully I might just cut the side of it off and break it away and whatever, but who knows. Right, so I've got all my shit metal clean away from under down there now. I just cut a whole bit of crap away. I'll go back down there and show you. But what I want to do, because you can actually see, you can see along that edge now, there is, because where I've cut it away, it's not welded in. But I've got a piece of steel, and I've actually cut that hole a little bit deeper, a little bit longer I should say, because it was, when I cut some of that tin away from underneath it, it was actually a bit more. I don't cut that much more away, probably another inch or even more than that maybe. But it was a little bit holdy in there, so I cut a little bit more of that back. But what I want to do now is get down there and have a bit of a measure up with my ruler on that base plate piece for that hole, and then I want to see whether these guys have got maybe a hole saw big enough for this thing. whatever that measurement is. Actually, while we're standing here, have a look. Just get a rough idea what that is. So that is, it's about 90 mils, or about an inch. I'll leave that get a little bit. So that an inch, no, or 3.5. It's almost 4 mils, isn't it? 4 inches. Because 100 mils is 4 inches, so it's 4 3/4-ish, maybe even more than that. So it's about 90 mil hole I need in here, give or take. It doesn't need to be exactly that size, but as long as it's close to that, and that piece there will bolt on without fouling, I guess. We can always open it up a little bit. So we need a big hole saw that'll cut through steel. That's about 90 mils, or about 3 3/4. But I'll just get down there and I'll do a quick couple of measurements and just get a rough idea where that needs to be off that edge to work for that. Because we're also going to allow for a bit of shit that's underneath. But I just want to get a rough idea where it is in relationship to that bar that runs across there, plus out to the side, and just get a rough idea. Alrighty. So I'm just trying to use the phone to help me measure this, because it's a bit hard to see. So it looks like it's the edge of that hole is about 83 mil from the edge, which is a little bit over 3 inches, and from this piece here back down to here is that 55-ish. Yeah, about 55 is a bit hard to tell, but about that, which is a little bit over 2 inches. So that's what I need to be roughly to draw this out, and then obviously start marking out my holes. And roughly those, sorry, I'll zoom you back out. Roughly those two there, I'll be kind of square with that edge, not really, but kind of. As long as it's sort of in that ballpark orientation, I think we'll be right. Or something like that anyway. It might be exactly like that, but it'll be close to that. I haven't compared with that other one, whether it's the same or whether it's the opposite of that, but we can always turn it. You know what I mean? Like if it's 180 and it's this side of that, if you know what I mean, it won't matter much. So that's just down there, and then the other piece that's on top of it, if you know what I mean. And I think this is roughly in the same place, give or take. So from there to there, about 5 inches. Right, we'll go have a quick look on this other side, and we'll push a bit of board back over, and we'll do some rough measurements. So about 85-ish, not quite 85, and about 55. Alright, so somewhere in the middle of that black circle, or somewhere in the middle of that circle, and these are the rough marks here from a width, kinda, and that was where I did for start off. But somewhere in here is where I need to be in the center from our hole. So I'm guessing that looks pretty close. Somewhere in that ballpark will be close enough to center. Yeah, it's about 5 inches off there. That must be about right. Where is that thing? If I sit that down. See, that'll be about there somewhere, give or take. Yeah, since it's probably about there, shouldn't it? So if I sit that, I can see that black pin kind of. I'm guessing the centre's in here somewhere. So it looks about right. It looks about right, give or take. So you just got to find something to bore a hole in here. Right. Hopefully you can see here. Maybe a little bit. Some kind of beside you. Yeah. So I got my hole here. This thing here just sneaks between that flange and that flange. It's got a little bit. This is, if I could measure the whole thing, it is a sneak over 5 inches. 5 and a, it's not quite 5 1/4, but it's somewhere around about there. So going by that, so I need to be over this way. Fuck, I don't know anymore. I do. No, doesn't matter anyway. So I think to get in there, so if we take 2.5 roughly as a centre, so we need to be over here somewhere. I better find my marker. Actually, I need to be about there somewhere, I think. Somewhere in that ballpark. I'll draw a hole in here. About there. So, yeah, we need to be about there somewhere, give or take. So I haven't got a big enough hole saw, but it's what's this one? It's as big as we've got. So after that I can, so it's about 3 inches or 75 mil. So I'll have to take the rest out with a die grinder or something afterwards, unless I can happen to find a bigger one that will fit on this same thing and just leave the centre one in, which will hold it out a little bit, which will give me a centre again, and then I can just cut slightly outside of it. But we'll do that in the morning. We're about done here for the day. Oh, that should save me a lot of work. It's almost the right size. 89 mil instead of 90. So by the time I wire it around a little bit, it should be right. It's a 3.5. And it's sharp. Well, hopefully that'll save me breaking drill bits. I've already got the pilot hole here. Just need something that won't fucking break when this grabs and tries to pull itself around. Hopefully. Right, I'm trying to drill holes down in there, and I've like marked the holes and whatever, but it's just because it's just slightly curved and it's not really an easy place to drill holes and to get it nice and accurate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of steel or whatever, or maybe even a bit of scrap of that ply or something, and drill the holes, make sure that they're accurate enough to line up with these holes, and then I'll lay it down there and clamp it down there, because I've already got a couple of holes in there. Try and clamp it there somehow, and then use that as my guide, because it's such an awkward prick of a spot to do it. Like I probably could do it from underneath, but again, it's not flat. You're trying to do it in weird angles and whatever, and to try and even, mark and get things nice and accurate, it's just not easy. So I think we'll do it down on there where it's half decent to work. Then I think I probably might just use a wee bit of ply. That'll give me a good guide, and then I can lay it over top and I know the holes are in the right place. Right, so I made this so I can lay down there to drill fucking holes through it, because too awkward. I just can't get in there accurate enough, and it's just too awkward to like seem to punch and whatever. It's just there's not enough room, and I'm sort of like too far, like the arm sinks, and like your arm positions aren't right and all that stuff. Like I can drill, it's not ideal, but I can drill. But the thought plan was I can clamp this in the hole. Hopefully those 2 holes that I've already got drilled will line up with 2 of these holes. Drop a couple of bolts through there, or something through there, to clamp it in place with those hopefully, and then go around and drill the rest of the holes, and then I'll probably have to like move the clamp, or by that stage I might have better get enough bolts in there that it won't move too much. Right, I got my holes drilled, so we'll cut the patch from there now, and I'll poke my torch down there so we can start tacking that patch in, and I'll obviously hook my welder up and turn it on and whatever. So yeah, that should work. I'm hoping those holes line up. Well, if we have to fill one and re-drill it, or it is what it is. That thing was moving around a bit. Unfortunately, I didn't quite have. I really needed a few of these size bolts, but I couldn't find anything. Because these are 8mm, but these here are bigger than that. Whatever they are in Imperial, but I didn't have anything here. I only had one. Here, if I had like a whole heap of them, I would have dropped them on the holes and it would have held it a bit more steady. But it is what it is. We'll work around it. If we have to weld one up, weld a couple up, and re-drill them just to get things to line up or whatever, we'll deal with that later. But they're in there now, so we're kind of heading in the right direction. So we will get that patch cut, and we'll start getting that filled in from the bottom anyway. I'll at least get it tacked in. Alright, we got our patch partly in there. Obviously, we got a bit more welding to do. That was really fucking terrible to weld along that edge. I don't know whether it's the material, whether it's thin, or what's in it. I don't know. It's really freaking terrible to weld to. But when we put that on there, we'll re-weld that whole seam. Somehow, I'll weld this here right on that edge. Really solid, a bit sort of like what they've got, but you know what I mean. Hopefully, it's leak-proof-ish. And we may have to come in from the inside and weld back along the inside of that seam and see if we can fill that hole there somehow. But yeah, so I might give that a wee grind up now and just knock the frickin' high shit off it. And just trying to decide whether I go back inside, maybe weld along that edge again if I can. We'll see, because it's fucking awkward in there. It's kind of why I welded it from the bottom. But I really need to cut that piece to length and start shaping it, I guess. Interesting. I actually wondered yesterday when I wasn't here whether they've done something with, because the sliding doors from here and here slide way into here, and I actually wonder if there's still a little bit of daylight up there, but I think it's not as bad, and I think it's not leaking into here now. Like, it seems to be like there's a bit of a puddle down the far end, but yeah, it used to drip down into here, or whether they've cleared something or made something just so it doesn't flood in here so much. We'll find out Monday morning, I guess. But it's dry here at the moment, which is good, and it's quite damp out there. Anyway, we'll carry on. I'm just trying to get this clamped into position so I can start welding it on. Alright, so we've got that welded on there now. Obviously we've still got some other issues, but we'll have to grind up and clean it up, and then I'll eventually put maybe a little strip down here, and we'll cut into this and get rid of some of that shitty stuff. We're just trying to get this on here at the moment. So it's on down this side. There's bound to be pinholes and whatever once we grind it up and clean it up, and we still haven't even welded it around there yet. We just sort of tacked it on. But we'll whip around the other side and we'll weld it in down there, and then we'll see what would allow it go for time once we got that done. We had quite a gap in here to fill. There's actually still a bit of a freaking hole in there too, but that's right. We'll deal with that once we start cleaning up and whatever. We'll get it. But this isn't very good along here anywhere really, and this steel's pretty. For some reason, this panel's quite thin. So like if I get it where it's a wee bit rusty and behind here, it blows away. So it takes a wee bit of chasing, but she's right. It is what it is, you know. That's what happens when you're dealing with old stuff, you know. Unless you're really, it's like a lot of those cars. You see them, those guys do those big high-end builds. They just strip the chassis. Like even if it's a unibody car, they just pull every outside panel off, and they put what's left of the structure frame on a jig, and they just start cleaning all the shit up and put a whole heap of new metal in where it's needed, and they just start putting brand new panels on the outside of it. Like that's a $1 million car, you know, or several $100,000 car. Like to do that realistically is more than the car's worth. It's got to be a passion. So yeah, if you're going to be doing that, well, you're just asking for just massive amounts of work. Anyway, because otherwise, you know, you'd be just replacing every piece and every skin and tearing it right back down to the structure and rebuilding it from the structure out, basically. You know, and it basically becomes a brand new car. Anyway, we'll get it burnt on the other side and tweak it and whatever and hammer it around, and yeah, and we'll fill her in from the other side, and at least then it's kind of filled up. And obviously we just got to do some dressing and cleaning up and fix this stuff and build this up so it's kind of the same level back down here. We might just build it up with weld, just run another beater, you know, a bit more significant bead of weld down through there, and then once we get it sort of cleaned up and ground up, and just kind of make it look like this. You know, once it's painted, it's down low, really, you know. It's not as though you're going to be kneeling down and looking at it. You'll be looking at everything else, so it is a military vehicle at the end of the day. Right, I finished down there in the meantime. I want to get back inside that back piece and I'll do a seam where along the bottom edge, because I can see there's light through there in a few places. So I'll weld it back on the inside as well, again. Once I really bothered carrying myself up in there. But anyway, so I've sort of cleaned up there in the meantime. So we will now jump down onto here and finish off the bits that I couldn't weld from above, and then once I got that done and knocked any of the welds off down there that I haven't done, I haven't cleaned anything up underneath there. I've got a couple of flappy wheels and I grabbed a couple more of those orange hard discs from, it's freaking handy having a really good supply in there. Saves me having to go anywhere to get anything if I run out. But yeah, so we'll knock back the welds, do the little joins underneath the ribs pieces where I couldn't weld the new piece of 4. So we'll buzz them in, and then we should be able to hopefully put the new, or at least start putting the new ribs underneath. Hopefully I might better just bang 2 or 3 tick screws and go from there. But yeah, we'll just have to see how they fit the shape, but hopefully I can just pull them up or something like that. Or if I have to, I might get some big long tick screws and maybe put them right through to the floor and pull them up sort of half tight, and then I can better stitch them along the edge, and then I can just buzz up a couple of the holes. Worst comes to worst, something a bit like that. We'll just see. I've also got that little screw bottle jack that I can, once I sort of get it held in a few places, I can manipulate it probably a little bit with a little bit of pressure. We'll just see how it goes, I guess. Stitch it on, and if the ellipse is down a little bit, we'll just have to knock it up with a hammer. But we'll start doing that. Alrighty, so we got these fitting now, basically. I'm just starting to put the second one on. I just tacked, well, I've only really got the first one sort of tacked on in a few places. And it's the same, we're just starting to put the second one on. So I've got a couple of tacks up there, a couple of tacks here, a couple here, and then I'll move the thing down, and then we'll move it along and push it up. Whatever, I might have to manipulate this a little bit. I might have to cut it a wee bit further around this corner to get that to fold over, because it's not square here compared with the front, if you know what I mean. So we'll have to manipulate that a little bit, but it should move. So yeah, just going along, we'll push her up, tack it in place, and then I can, once I've got it fully well situated and all the gates closed up reasonably well, we'll just go along and burn it in every, do a 2 or 3 inch stitch, and then leave a gap in another 2 or 3 inch stitch. and whatever. You can sort of see where I've done a couple over there where I've sort of started. So yeah, she's all good. We'll get her whatever, and then we'll just have to fill these gaps again where I've cut it, just to relieve it to make it fit. So here's what it is. Should be right once I've welded it up. I've already put the weld through on the inside, so it'll still work the same. It'll just, yeah, it's just one of those things. Thought I had it right, but unfortunately it must have pulled tight when it cooled or something after welding it together. So should be right. You can always fix it. It's steel. You can cut it, weld it, whatever. Righty, I'll carry on. Right. So I've mainly got to do some welding down here. I've got to do a little bit of sort of welded on the far side of these, all the way up to about here. I haven't finished welded up around the top or anything, but everything else down that far side is done. And everything up to here, roughly, apart from a few tacks, is done on this side, on both. So I'll carry on and try and get as much as this done before I bugger off tonight, and then there might be a little bit left in the morning to do. And then obviously a bit of clean up and whatever, and trim the ends off, and then just go around and just tidy anything up that needs tidied up, or pinholes or whatever through. I've noticed the odd one, which I've tried to fill along the way, but might put a couple of the lights up in there and shine them down, so I can sort of see a few of the pinholes and get them, and vice versa. But yeah, so I've got most of that stitched in, so we'll carry on, start back down here somewhere and stitch most of this in and see if we can burn this in before we run away tonight. Right, I'm getting there down there. I've got two of those gussets welded in, and I've got that double welded down there and kind of through there, and I've been back outside and welded it a couple of times. I've cut those other pieces off, but I haven't welded them on yet. I just dropped one through the fucking hole again. I'm forever dropping shit through that hole that I want, but yeah, it's basically time to pack up and go home for the day. But yes, I'll get them welded on in the morning. Once I give that a quick wee clean up. That was an absolute bitch to get off, because it's just in one of those spots. Well, I've sort of got to manoeuvre myself down there as far as I can, and then use a frickin' angle grinder with cutting disc and whatever, and try and clean it up. And it's like my arm is like backed hard up against in there to try and hold one part of the grinder, and then my other arm trying to control it. You know, not easy, especially when you can't move your arm properly, but kind of is what it is. So I got my legs like tucked way up underneath there, and my ass is like right in the corner, and yeah, fun. But anyway, we're getting there, so that's cool. The welds on those pieces aren't the prettiest. There's not much I can do about it. It's just freaking awkward. Like if you had an extra, if that opening was right to there, I could probably actually get my body just about right down, and then you probably better weld a bit better. You better get a better view and a better angle, but just that is what it is. Shouldn't move anywhere. It's just, yeah, if I was probably like half the fucking size, it'd be easy, way easier, but it is what it is. You just do what you can do. Anyway, so we'll go sort out some shit. I'll throw the triangle back in there, so hopefully in the morning I can just climb in here and get going. That light must have like a battery backup in it that you can see down in there, because it's not plugged in. It hasn't been plugged in for at least half an hour or more. I unplugged it before just to try and stop that from tripping the pieces out, and I even unplugged two of these other lights. Yeah, I unplugged those two just to try and stop it from tripping out on the board. You know, when I was trying to do, if I got a wee bit far with a stitch, if you know what I mean. Because see, like I can only like do a stitch weld maybe an inch long, if that. But if I just weld for a little bit long, it's enough to trip it. So I'd started unplugging stuff and just left these two lights on for a little bit of extra light, plus the little I don't know what I call it, LED rechargeable. But yeah, it seems to have stopped me from tripping it out. Like I don't think I could weld too much further, if you know what I mean. Like I wouldn't go and weld 2 inches or 3 inches, but it's just enough so I can sort of get that motion of getting about an inch done and not trip it out. Yeah, because that was a pain in the ass trying to get myself fucking back in and out of there every time I tripped it, but doing stuff. But yeah, we'll pack up and we'll bugger off. Right, so that's all back in there now. Sprayed some weld through on there. Sounded a bit of frickin' shit. A whole bit of old metal down there, but skimming it or some of the other bits of quick flick where I welded and whatever. Just to, stop a bit of probably flash rusting or whatever until we get it fully cleaned up and ready to put a coat of paint in the bottom of it, which hopefully won't be too far away. Now we're getting through the meat and potatoes of the holes, hopefully. Yeah, we're heading in the right direction. So now we will start making our plan for up here. And it was definitely these lights. When I was welding those pieces on there, I could actually burn more than a good inch of weld in there without it, and it wouldn't pop. So yeah, I think it was just the 4 lights running was just enough to put enough load on that switch or the box for the welder to trip it out. But with just 2, it was fine. So that was good to know. So if I need to do any more slightly heavier welding instead of just stitch welding, or spot welding, I guess you'd call it, yeah, I know I just need to flick whatever lights off that I don't need going at the time, if you know what I mean. So yeah, like when I'm down this end, like I can just turn those 2 on and probably flick these ones off or whatever, and just use these other little lights just for a bit of extra light if I need it. So yeah, that's good to find that out. But I think we're through the bulk of it. Like there's still going to be some bits and pieces I've got to probably fix and straighten and whatever, but I think we're through the heavy stuff anyway. It'll be just fixing these last few bits and pieces in here. But anyway, we'll have a break for a few minutes and then we'll get into this. Righty, so we get, I made 2 or 3 broken bolts that I get out of those pieces that where the boards bolt up to on the angles. So a couple of 3 I think to get out. So I try a couple of different methods. The first one is I've got a couple of small washers with the 5mm hole in them, and I put over it the broken bits, weld the washer to the bolt, and then set a 6mm nut over top of that, and then weld that to it, and see if I can undo it with a 10mm spinner or socket. So I'll try that for a start, and then if that doesn't work, we'll go to something else. But I'm hoping that the heat will be enough to break it free, if you know what I mean. Right. So I've got that one in there. That's actually quite solid. It's actually, just noticed, right up the front of that piece. Walk up here. Up here and here. There's actually meant to be a little bracket that's welded to the inner guard. It's got a couple of bolts in it. It's got them over here, but they're not there, and that will actually stop that from flapping around. So this is on there tight with, what is it, 7 bolts now. There's 4 in here, and the 3 that are in here, which I've found a bit of timber that goes in behind, which is a bit like, I don't know if you can see here. No, you probably can't, but it's a bit of, I don't know, 1 and a bit by 1 and a bit. I don't know. It's a bit more than 1 inch square. There's a piece that runs from about here down to here, and it's slightly tight because otherwise it hit the floor or the wheel arch. It's the same in behind here. So yeah, it wouldn't be hard to take this off, and at least now I can probably make probably a bit of bits of some of that angle or something that we've had made up. I could probably cut a couple of short bits in there, clean it up. I can tack a couple of pieces on there and weld a couple of nuts on the bottom. That can be welded in there, so it doesn't flat round. But what I might do is get them made and put a nut and bolt in, but not weld them on until we get this here in situ and the boards in there in situ. And probably put this on here because that'll just determine where that's going to sit. I think where it's sitting is probably about right, but it can move around a little bit, so that gives the real utility right here. And like this isn't any currently, like yet we'll paint before we put it on properly, so it won't rust out like the last ones did. But you know, I've got it bolted in there solid. So now I'll do the other side and I'll get that worked out. See if I can get the nuts and bolts in that. And see if those two holes line up right up front. And eventually at some point we'll have to weld a series of nuts or something on them. I did make those little capture nut things. I don't think the square nuts are very easy to get hold of, so we're going to just get some regular old nuts, clean everything up and burn a couple of good hot tacks, and put a bolt in there, do it up tight, and then burn a couple of good hot tacks in it where they're needed. I think it'll be fine for what it is. A lot of this you're not going to see, it's underneath the floor, so what does it really matter? As long as it's still using the hardware. Right, so I figured out why all the missing holes are gone. So on that other side, when I went to look down there, that's the piece that had been remade and just bolted on there, because it came along to there and then they just added a piece in because it had obviously rotted off. And that bit down there was all, the end of it, this piece here, was all rotted out. Not, way worse than that. The whole thing was missing in here, where this is just a wee bit. It's meant to have a hole through, well, I don't know if it's meant to have a hole through there or not, but yeah, those bits were missing in there, and then obviously when they made that, they thought, oh, well, it's rotted out, we won't worry about putting the holes in there, we'll just whatever. So I'll have to mimic these holes in there and obviously associated into that piece when I get a chance to sort that out. And maybe when we get a bit of timber and we can clamp it all together, we can roughly mark out and double check to make sure everything fits and drill some holes through the whole lot. To clamp them with 3 bolts. This one here, again, this was rotted out in that piece, so that's why I didn't mark that hole. And I probably just didn't think about it. So I just put the ruler on there from the end hole and just got my line and just worked out roughly where it should be. So it should be close. That hole's pretty wallowed out. It'll be alright. We're not going to rebuild those pieces. Otherwise we're pulling heaps of stuff off to try and get them out and whatever, and cutting all sorts of bolts. We just leave it alone. That's solid enough to do the job, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we should be right with that one now. And obviously at some point, I see we'll make those couple of brackets like down here. Those ones there. I don't know how far they go. I can have a wee look on the inside, but yeah, we'll just make something similar and put them on there and weld them on. And like I said, we'll put a couple of bolts and nuts and what through there and tack them on in place, and then we can undo all the stuff, pull them out of the road, and we can burn a couple of decent welds in there, and when we're repainting everything, we can paint it all. So again, we can touch up bits and pieces, doesn't matter much at this point. But yeah, so we will carry on, we will re-put that on, make sure those all bolt up. These here are close. I think they're close enough, and when we get a board in there, we can probably bore a hole through and just get it to line up a little bit better if they are off a little. And by the time we put nuts and washers and whatever around there, it's not going to matter too much. And these here are, I think, for this stuff when it bolts on down here, and the board that runs through here with, I think there's some angles that bolt onto here. I think that's meant to be. I'll have to have a double check of that. I think all that stuff's back out of here again at the moment. We'll have to piece all that back together again. But that's what those are for, and it's the same on down here. I think that's that brace that goes down here that I was rebuilding the bottom of the other day. That bolts into that, I'm pretty sure. I'll have to double check that, but it's all bolted in there at some point, so that's cool. So that's pretty much fine at the moment. We'll just leave it on here and we'll work it out. But yeah, I think I'll get this on here and then I'll try and heat these nuts up and see if I can at least get them loose. I'll start getting them loose tonight anyway and give them a good soak. So yeah, I don't think I'll go too much further. I'm not too panicked about that at the moment. And I've got the hopefully they've got the guy coming back to maybe sort out a few of those bits of timber so we can get them remade, and then I can get them on those other shelving bits. We can get them in place so we know where that sits and we can get that sorted. And yeah, I'll see that stuff, and then hopefully by the time we're finished we'll have that big picture for these end pieces that I can make and weld on there and dress up and clean up. And you know, we might put a wee bit of body fluid on that just to blend it in so it looks like one piece, but probably not either. I don't think it really matters with the state of the rest of it. It kind of is what it is. But yeah, so these all big exposed welds and whatever, so as long as we can just dress it up and make it look half decent, and a couple of coats of primer and whatever, and if he wants to do that, and just paint the friggin' thing, I don't think it's going to matter much. Anyway, we will carry on.